iHeartRadio Broadway, driven by Mercedes-Benz.
It is legitimately what I had always dreamed of doing, and it's this show is beyond anything I could have dreamed of doing. So it's definitely pinch me moments, 8 times a week at least. It's funny, I'd say I didn't know if it would translate, because I mean the show is so far reaching and a lot of them are all around the world, and they've showed up though. I mean, because I do the stage door every evening. The matinees I'm either resting or running home to my daughter, but 5 times a week I get to meet fans at the stage door, and people have come from all over the world to see the show, and there's usually someone in the front row in a Star Labs sweatshirt or t-shirt, like it's someone in a Flash t-shirt. I've seen a Grant Gustin graphic tee in the front, like Flash t-shirt. So there's they're showing up, which has kind of caught me off guard. I didn't know if it would translate, and some of them are saying this is the first Broadway show they've seen, so that's pretty cool that it's bringing new theater fans to Broadway. I've gotten better about I obviously am not ever intentionally looking at the audience, but if they're in the front row, it's kind of hard to miss, especially the Star Labs logo. It's ingrained in my retina. So when I see it, it's I just go to it. But it's cool. I know it's you see someone, it's like spotting a family member where it's they're there to see you. So it's all right, well, gotta show up, do my best. I don't know if you guys meditate, but I try to meditate, and it's being on stage is like practicing meditation, where it's you're gonna get distracted and your mind is gonna go elsewhere, and then you just remind yourself to all right, focus on my breath again and the people in front of me. You're never gonna go through a 2.5-hour show without thinking about the fact that you're on stage doing a show. Your mind will wander. There were times on The Flash where I did things that were really hard, maybe even as hard or harder than things I'm doing in Water for Elephants. But it's the consistency in which you have to do things in a show on Broadway, because you're doing it 8 times a week. And when you do repetitive things like that, the same part of your body is taking the same beating over and over again. So all of a sudden you're why does my left hip feel like it's detaching from my body? And it's because you've fallen on it, 8 times that week. So it's, and I don't have a stunt man. I'm doing everything myself. So there's no stunt man to step in and do the trapeze for me at the end of the show, or, get knocked out and crash down on the stage. It's just me. When I was a sophomore in high school, I did Seymour in Little Shop, and it's my favorite role still. I just saw Darren do it. I saw his last performance with Evan Rachel Wood, and they were amazing. And I love that show. I would love to do it again. I love that music. Yeah, it's the best. It's tough. I mean, I wake up almost every day. I tell Izzy and Paul this all the time. Almost every day I wake up and I'm I don't have it today. It's just, I also am I'm one of those voices, and I don't think it's abnormal that it takes 2-3 hours for my voice to wake up. So the first hour of the day, you're I'm screwed. I can't do it. And it's just a mental game every day. But I'm thankfully a homebody, and I have, a young daughter, and I want to be home. I don't really want to be out doing other things, but also having a young daughter who's in preschool, someone is coming to see me tomorrow night in the show, actually, and they were don't get sick in the next 24 hours. We're only coming to see you. And I was don't jinx me, because it's this has been my first 5-week stretch without a cold. Since I got here, I was getting a cold every 10 days just because my kids in preschool, and I was adjusting to New York, and it was winter. And so you just got to take care of yourself. It's a lot of water, as much sleep as possible. Anytime I feel something coming during a show, I take a half dose of Dayquil to get through the show. It's, you just got to take it seriously and take care of yourself, which I tend to try to do anyway, but things will still sneak up and get you. I mean, even if we include any, because Jacob doesn't really he's a vet. Because even the trapeze thing that I do in the show, that's a dream sequence. Jacob takes part in no circus, and Barry Allen's in my opinion one of the strongest superheroes in all of superhero lore. So Jacob doesn't really stand any type of chance against Barry, unfortunately. Both good guys, but Jacob's losing that battle. That performance specifically, Smooth Criminal, I've talked about before, but it was, because it is one of my favorite things that I got to be a part of too. And unlike most of everything else I did on that show, that was very thrown together. Like they're usually, I mean, that show was always a whirlwind. I don't know how those regulars did it for years and went on tour in between seasons. But we'd rehearse like a dance number for like 6 to 8 hours, like the day before you would do it, and then you'd probably have recorded the song like that morning of the rehearsal or the evening after that rehearsal, and then shoot it like the next day. So it was crazy, but you'd rehearse things and then like try to drill it the next day. But Smooth Criminal, it was just Naya and I, and there wasn't like Zach Woodley, the choreographer, didn't have anything like very specific in mind, because it was just a duet and it was more of a character piece than like a number. And we just showed up at this real school on location, and they set up all these chairs in a circle, and they're like, it's just going to be a game of cat and mouse, and like you each stand on the outside and then start making your way inside and move chairs as you go and then get into each other's faces, and we're going to shoot it. And that was literally it. So like it really, and that it didn't take long to shoot compared to other things. So like I knew that was a cool song to cover, obviously, so I thought it would make some kind of impression, but it wasn't like a very involved shooting process like some of the other numbers were. So, you left set that day kind of wondering like, I wonder how that'll turn out. And it's so sick, obviously. Like, yeah, the cellos, like it's.
iHeartRadio Broadway, driven by Mercedes-Benz.